Netanyahu is reported to be asking Trump to coordinate new strikes on Iran's ICBM program. It's intercontinental ballistic missile program because of concerns that Iran can develop more missiles at a faster pace. This comes after Netanyahu pressured and begged Trump, basically begged Trump to strike Iran's nuclear program. So this is a whole new other set of strikes that Netanyahu is going to be asking Trump to conduct. This was initially reported in Israeli media, by the way. So Netanyahu to meet with Trump on Iran missile rebuild and strike options. Here's a Times of Israel article I want to go ahead and share with you guys. This was just reported a couple of days ago, updated yesterday. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will present plans for a possible fresh attack on Iran to U.S. President Donald Trump during his upcoming visit to Washington. NBC Media reported on Saturday, citing several unnamed officials. According to the report, Israel is growing increasingly concerned that Iran is rebuilding and even expanding its ballistic missile production in the wake of the nation's 12-day war in June. Israel is also worried that Iran rebuilding its nuclear enrichment program, which was heavily damaged by Israeli and American sites. Netanyahu and Trump are expected to meet at the U.S. President's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida at the end of this month. So it truly, what I don't understand is he knows he's losing U.S. support. He knows American citizens are truly sick of Israel. I have to know that there are people within his circle that see everything that's going on in American social discourse. They know they know the U.S. is getting increasingly fed up with Israel. And despite everything that Trump's done, which is basically everything, he's cucked for Israel unlike any other president aside from Lyndon B. Johnson. Aside from everything Trump's done, he still has the nerve to come to the United States again and ask for another wave of fresh strikes. And he wants to pull the United States into a problem again and do bidding for Israel. It's like we truly never get a break from this man. This man is the biggest threat to stability, not just in the Middle East, but in the world. And you know what? I believe, I think Trump is going to eventually concede, and we will end up doing strikes simply because of this, because of the Samsung option. What we know, Samsung option, what we know is that Israel has no problem threatening the United States to get its way. John Kiriakou, the former CIA officer, came forward and he said he had intel, and some people told him that when Netanyahu was asking Trump to strike Iran's nuclear sites, Netanyahu threatened Trump by stating that if the United States doesn't conduct those strikes on Fordow, then Israel is going to go ahead and nuke Iran. So they threatened to nuke Iran, and because the United States has other interests in the region, the United States thought it might be better to go ahead and conduct those strikes on Iran themselves versus having Israel nuke Iran and cause a wider regional conflict. So this upcoming ask, which is Netanyahu asking Trump to go ahead and do more strikes on Iran, I don't see why it wouldn't use the same sort of threat where you're like, okay, well, if you're not going to go ahead and conduct those strikes for us on Iran's missile program, we're going to just go ahead and nuke Iran instead. Last month, there was an interview with the Jerusalem Post. It was Jonathan Pollard. He was the convicted Israeli spy. Just a month ago as well, or a few weeks ago, ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee actually met with Jonathan Pollard. You guys might remember it caused a huge wave of backlash on social media. Well, Jonathan Pollard then went on the Jerusalem Post last month, and he did an interview where he stated directly that if the United States doesn't give us the military equipment that we need, and the United States doesn't give us the ammunition that we need, then we should go ahead and just nuke our enemies or threaten the United States to go ahead and nuke our enemies to get the United States in line. And then Jonathan Pollard goes ahead and actually gives an example back during the Yom Kippur War, where apparently Israel did just that and threatened to nuke its enemies if the United States didn't bring ammunition and supply Israel to continue the war. There's no reason Israel wouldn't do it. Genuinely, there is no reason Israel wouldn't do it because we know they have a history of doing this sort of stuff. So this is kind of the situation we're in, where he just every single time that man comes to this country, immediately he just wants to push America into more war, create more enemies for America. This is another thing that really annoys me. People will say, we only give Israel $3 billion a year. We only give them $3 billion a year, as if $3 billion isn't a lot. Aside from the point, let's just say that $3 billion isn't a lot when you compare it to the scale of all of the other things the United States spends money on: Social Security, everything else. Okay. Aside from just the $3 billion a year and more we give to Israel, we're also bringing and exporting violence against the United States because we make Israel's enemies our enemies. What's the point of that? Why should we alienate the entire Arab world, the entire Muslim world, all of those countries for Israel? People think they only focus on just the fiscal aspect of backing Israel instead of the entire geopolitical aspect and how that ends up backfiring on the United States, creating enemies that the United States doesn't need and wouldn't have if it wasn't for backing this project in the Middle East called Israel. Lindsey Graham goes ahead and recently, and he says a very similar thing, supporting Netanyahu, basically saying, we should go ahead and just wipe them out. Take a listen to this.
Changed at all. They still want Iran. They're up to no good. We obliterated the Iranian nuclear facilities. We did not obliterate Iran's desire to have a nuclear weapon. The regime hadn't changed at all. They still want to kill all the Jews, consider America the great Satan, and purify Islam. Are they regenerating their nuclear capability? Are they building more ballistic missiles that could hurt Europe and Israel? I don't know, but there's evidence that suggests they are. I would recommend, if there's credible evidence that Iran is going back into the enrichment business at other sites, that they're trying to build more ballistic missiles to terrorize Israel and maybe Europe, that we hit them before they can do that. The one thing I've learned about radical Islam, the only language it understands is force. So I am hopeful we can put Hamas on a time clock. The trend lines in Lebanon are, quite frankly, optimistic. The Lebanese government has decided to call for Hezbollah to disarm. If Hezbollah gave...
So that's enough. We could just stop right there. The guy's always pushing for war. That's kind of his shtick. He just, whenever you hear this guy talk, he's just basically pushing and just barfing out Israeli propaganda nonstop. He's just a complete cuck for Israel. That's kind of his thing. That's how it got him to the position of power he's in today. All right. At what point will we stop? We cannot allow Iran to produce ballistic missiles because they could overwhelm the Iron Dome.
Of air defense capability.
This was posted 4 hours ago. I don't know when he exactly stated this.
Iran to get back in the ballistic missile production business that could overwhelm Iron Dome.
He says it over and over again. Why is it America's problem? Why do we have to keep exporting violence to America? Why can't you, honestly, why doesn't Trump just let Israel do what it wants? If Israel wants to go nuke and destroy the entire Middle East and put itself in a life or death scenario, go for it. Why does the United States have to become embroiled in its own manic actions in the Middle East? This is just going to keep going on forever. So the article continues to go on, and it says that, of course, this is just Israeli media, so it's just pushing Israeli propaganda. It says that the reason that they want this so bad is because if left unchecked, Iran could then be producing about 3,000 missiles per year against Israel, and of course, that simply isn't allowed to be had. Anna Kasparian also commented, and she said, "Any thought on Netanyahu amping up war with Iran again, which America will be forced into?" Israel, this is OSINT Defender is an Israeli propaganda account. Israel warned the Trump administration over the weekend that an ongoing missile exercise and other unusual movements by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps could be preparation for an attack against Israel. 3 Israeli and U.S. sources with knowledge of the issue told Axios. So it's funny because whenever Israel warns about something, it's basically Israel threatening us. That's really what it means when they say Israel warned America. Israel doesn't warn America. Israel is threatening America to do things in order to act in the way that it wants across the Middle East. It's never giving actual warning to America. Trump will not approve large-scale Israeli attacks on Iran. Despite that, Israel has prepared a comprehensive intelligence dossier to convince Trump on new Iran strikes. The paper contains Iran's ongoing efforts to rebuild its nuclear and ballistic missile program, an effort to arm its proxies in the region. We'll see how things unfold moving forward. If you found this video interesting, would appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. Otherwise,